Welcome back to Comfortably Me. I'm your host, Vanessa Elaine, and today I have a special guest, JC.
What it do? What it do? What it do?
Tell them a little bit about yourself, like where you're
All
from,
right.
what do you do, what's your nationality?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would. I'm originally from the Bahamas. Parents are Haitian. Raised in the state of Florida, Broward County to be exact. I am currently an entrepreneur, currently in the logistics and supply chain industry, and you can follow me at Dr. J underscore speaks.
I know that's right. So the reason why I have JC on this podcast episode is because yesterday we had a great talk about relationships and dating. And this is someone that I can have a healthy dialogue with when it comes to relationships because he is a man of God. And even when we don't agree, we reach a common ground. So that's always like good to have, like healthy communication. And we were talking about dating with the modern day woman and how women are not held accountable. Like we have podcasts that are featuring men who either uplift women to the point where they downplay the man and they don't hold the woman accountable for the things that she does, and it kind of forms some sort of toxicity, and or you'll have the men tearing down women, and it's just like it is nothing healthy about it because it's gonna just be a cycle that we're continuing when it comes to dating, and we trying to get married. Okay, that's a plot of the enemy to try to tear up the home
For
because
sure.
a house divided cannot stand.
Yep.
That's why everybody falling apart now. Okay.
I love
So,
it.
what is the modern day woman? Because I don't know what that is. I don't subscribe to it. I don't know if I am that, but I'm not. I'm not subscribing to it. The first time I heard it was rest in pieces. So, Kevin Samuels. And I don't know. He's talk a lot of stuff, but some of it was, I took what I wanted from his message.
Come on now.
But what is a modern day woman?
Ah, that is something that is definitely hard to really explain. I guess for me, if I could simplify it, what's considered modern is basically something that is probably separated from what used to be. And what used to be, we were under different circumstances, which means that we were living in a different time where things were a lot different than it is today. So I guess I would start off and say that back then there wasn't there wasn't a lot of opportunities for women. There
Mm-hmm.
wasn't women were fighting for their rights. Now you can kind of differentiate that whether you want to speak on black versus white women. I understand that there's a difference between that. But I would definitely say that the circumstances in which women were in are totally different than what we have in now. We got education, which we know that black women specifically lead that statistically for a long time, and they have been for like the last decade. I want to say I heard. So I would say that the traditional woman, which is a woman that I guess you could call the stay at home wife in a sense, the woman that would more so be the nurturer, the woman that would be at home taking care of the home while the man went out there and worked, or was out there fighting war of some type. um, so I feel like a lot of circumstances has changed. You have women who are obviously in education, a lot of women who are in career fields, a lot of women who are doing jobs that they couldn't do 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. So
Right.
I think the modern day woman, it's kind of hard to dissect because there's so many different like parts you could break it down. But I would say what would differentiate the two is what used to be versus what we have now.
Okay, so when it comes to dating, what do you feel like women lack? Like when it comes to accountability? Like what do we need to be accountable for?
Oh, um,
Cuz I know.
I want to hear
I'm
yours
not
as
one of
well.
them.
I want to hear yours as well. I would say for me, this is my opinion, my own experience, because I do have several of sisters like yourself and friends that I do have that are women, and they share their experiences with me. And I guess if I could be honest and real about that, I believe that women lack accountability based on the decisions in which they make when choosing the man that they decide to either court, entertain, whatever you want to call it. In other words, it's as if I don't want to say y'all play the victim, but I feel like there's a lack of this. There's a lack of ownership when deciding the man that you decided to take interest in after the fact that they've showed interest in you. So I feel like it's always this thing where a woman more than likely just kind of blames a man of why her experiences are the way that they are, when the reality is we live a life where you have to make a decision. And I believe that women are given several opportunities to leave a situation, and in the end they don't. So lack of accountability comes from several different places. I mean,
Yeah.
we could talk about her circle, we could talk about her own decision making, we could talk about maybe her ignoring the red flags for that matter. So yeah, it's a lot to kind of dive into, but I would say a lot of it has to do with taking ownership in the decisions that she's made pertaining to choosing a man.
I agree. It takes a certain level. I just feel like, okay, I'm going to speak for myself.
Okay.
Dating when I was young, I didn't know myself. And of course, when you don't know yourself, you're going to just allow anything into your life.
Okay.
Because this is you learning yourself. You're learning what you like and what you dislike. And in turn, if you just allow anything or any person into your life, you're not gonna attract the best people. And when you're searching for love or you're looking for that missing piece, 9 out of 10 is just not gonna be right. And you're just gonna hope. I think women, we have like that nurturing part. So we want, especially if you have codependencies, it gets deeper
Right.
when it comes to the accountability. To sum it up, you just need to heal. Once you learn, like once it hurts so bad, and once you say you had enough, it's time to draw back, give yourself a break, do not date, and it's time for you to heal and learn from your mistakes. Like, okay, what did I do wrong? It is no blaming game. Because you have to forgive the person, not forgive yourself. But in that process, you have to realize, like, what part did I play in this? Because until you get, that's how you hold yourself accountable, so you don't make the same mistakes. Because if you keep, as a woman, if you keep going from relationship to relationship and you're always saying, oh, man ain't this, man ain't that, oh, it's because of these men that no, why are you allowing that man into your life? Why are you allowing that same toxic man in your life? So now it's time, it's not him, because people are going to do what they want to do. Why do you allow them to do it to you? That's how I heal. Like, I hold myself accountable. Like, my friends will tell you, like, I'm very hard on myself. Because if I make this mistake, I'm like, come on, like, you know better. You know better. We went through this before. Like, because I had to pick myself up over and over again. That's tiring.
It is.
It is. So I had to get fed up. Like, no, I need to stop this cycle before it just keeps continuing to happen and it breaks me down. And maybe one day I won't get back up. But then that's when God comes in. Because even when you don't feel like getting up, he's going to always give you the strength to get back up. And his word is never going to return void to you. But like you said, is the accountability. I feel like both parts don't take accountability. I feel like it's just we all need to heal. We all need to heal.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. But I feel like let's be honest here. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it real. And we all know, like you just made a valid point that people gonna do what people gonna do, right? And we cannot simply worry about the fact that things that we cannot control. In other words, we don't control a woman's actions, we don't control a man's action.
Yeah.
So I guess the hardest thing to do is figuring out, like, where's your breaking point? Like, where do you, like, what you control in this situation? And the reality is, you control whether you want to stay or go. So I can't sit here and just say, because I think you're right. We do play the blame game a lot. He say, she say, and then we're back to square one, only dealing with each other again, right? So I guess my question would be to you is, where did your breaking point come? Where you got to a place where you decided to say, you know what, I'm gonna take ownership, because it's not easy when somebody doing you wrong and things like that. The easiest thing you can do is blame the person. So what allows you to get to a place? What allowed you to get to a place where you say, I'm going to take ownership, and you get to a place where, okay, I'm not going to put up with this anymore, and I'm going to choose me.
You just said it, choosing me.
Okay.
I just got fed up of not feeling like myself. Like, because when you're broken, you don't feel like yourself. You don't even feel like showing up for yourself. And listen, it's depressing. I just got tired of being low. Like, I just got tired of being broken. I couldn't do life like that. And I'm naturally a happy person. I love to laugh. So it's just like when those situations used to occur where I would be heartbroken, it just would take so much out of me. Like I didn't feel like myself, and I was uncomfortable. And I didn't like to be uncomfortable. So before, what I would do is I'll give myself a break, or I'll do like what the world says. Just go back outside and start dating. So I did that when I was younger. Like, I went outside, try to date, and child, when you don't know yourself and you don't heal, you're just gonna attract more mess. Okay, so that's basically it. Was just like, oh no, let me go back to where I know, and then I go back to the same toxic relationship because I believe that that was the best that it was gonna get. Until I realized that there's more, but I have to give myself more. In order for me to attract more, I have to first give it to myself. I can't expect someone else to give me what I can't even give myself.
Amen to that.
So I just remember, okay, what was my breaking? I feel like I have several breaking points, but it has made me the woman I am today, seriously, because I don't want to bleed on other people. So I don't want to be the person that hurts people. Like, I really care about people. So it's just like, when I get out of something, no matter how much it hurt me, I'm never looking at the person. I'm looking at myself like, what could I do to change? Like, I don't want to go into something else. So I would take a year off or 3 years off, and people would be like, oh my God, you're so pretty. Why are you still single? No, because I have to take this time out.
Right.
Because I don't feel like I can be my best in a relationship. I don't feel like this person will get all of me, and it's not fair to them. What about if they're ready for marriage? And I'm saying I want it, but I'm not. I know deep down inside I was not ready.
Okay.
So it just didn't make sense. And let me tell you another thing. My type did not change. Even though I was healing and I was in church, my type of man was still that.
That's accountability right there.
Yes, and I had to realize that I had to pray like, God changed my appetite, and it still wasn't changed. So, but you have to do the work. Yeah, you could pray for something. Yeah, I was praying God changed my appetite, but what are you doing to change your appetite?
Right.
What you have to go to a different level within yourself, because the reason why you're attracted to certain men, because you identify with them at a certain level. So that level, that low place that you're in, that's what you have to deal with. That's what you have to go in your secret place with God and pray like, God, I don't know what this is. God is going to reveal it to you. It comes from your childhood. It comes from the relationship with your father. Until you deal with the brokenness, the broken relationship with your father, every man you'll meet will resemble your father in some way. Until you forgive your father. If you don't ever forgive your father, God, let me tell you about God. No matter how much you dislike somebody, no matter how much you think somebody is bad or right? God loves them. So the fact that you hold on to unforgiveness for someone, God will always show you there's a little piece of you in them, or you can be just like them. Right. You are not exempt. So you just have to give that person grace.
Amen to that.
So I had to realize the men I used to date had the things that I did not like in my father. Those men had a piece of that. And then they'll have what I wished I had in my father. That's what would keep me.
Yeah.
Because they would have the attributes that I wish my father had. And I was holding on to that. Like, that's what kept me like, oh my God, like, no, I can account on this person. I couldn't. And I had to attack that. Like, see that. You have to be vulnerable. And I don't think people are willing to be that vulnerable because nobody wants to seem weak. Because I was like that too.
No, I agree with you. But you said something so profound to me. And I think a lot of people haven't gotten there. Whether that's man or woman. But obviously, I guess the biggest topic right now is dealing with women and their accountability. You mentioned something about you asking God to change your appetite. Like, that's big. That's big because we live in an age, we live in a time where a lot of women kind of go through the same things over and over, regardless of the man that she is dating. Mm-hmm. So to get to a place where you're asking God to change your appetite, it had to take like ownership of stating that, okay, this is on me now. And now I have to ask God to say, you know what, like, I need you to change this because obviously what I've been choosing isn't working out. So to even get to that place,
you're in my prayer closet. That's that line right there.
To even get to a place where you're asking God to change your appetite, I think is probably the biggest ownership because you're realizing that you can't make it about you anymore, and you failed yourself too many times. I want to say this, man. I want to keep it real too when I say this. Oftentimes, a man can meet a woman, and he could date a woman, and let's say she's a woman who's dealt with several experiences. Let's say she's been through the mud, and she's basically just trying to find herself or find the right person for whatever reason. I find it that, and this is just me talking to other brothers of mine who've dealt with pretty good women, right? But they come from they deal with a lot of trauma and unhealed territories in which they haven't faced yet, right? I find it that, and this is again me talking to a couple of guys that I've just known through the years, and when we talk about certain women, I'm not talking about no bad man. I'm talking about some pretty good stand up guys,
okay,
who are intentional, who are seeking a relationship, seeking marriage, seeking legacy, seeking a family. I'm talking about those type of guys. I can't speak for all men, but in this particular scenario, I'm talking about these specific men. And they date the type of woman that she could be an amazing woman, but she's holding on to a lot of trauma. Mm-hmm. She's holding she's holding on to a lot of past issues that she hasn't dealt with. And I'll say this is sometimes the good man sometimes ends up getting the bitter end of the stick. Mm. And what I mean by that is that man is left with having to pick up broken pieces that he didn't even break. To the point where he is so caught up into trying to be the man that she does not want to experience anymore, and he's trying. And he to the point where he can't be himself, because his responsibility now is at a place where I gotta be this man that she didn't experience.
That's your assignment, not your purpose partner. It's not the season for that person to date. Men need to know their worth.
Of course.
That's the time for you to walk away. That's not her season to date. But if she doesn't identify that, you should stop pursuing her, because men pursue women. So once you realize that, you as a man, this is not for me. And this is not the season. We can build a friendship. Right. It's not to say that person is probably is your person, but this is not the season. That's your assignment.
Right. I mean, I do get kind of, I wouldn't say confused, but I think there's purpose in pursuing somebody.
Yeah, but you just said the person is broken, and then you trying to. Once you go outside of yourself to please somebody, if I gotta go outside of me, and I done did so much work, and if it's not flowing naturally, I understand. Everybody comes with something. Right. Whether you're healed, I'm healed in certain areas, but I know my partner is gonna have to deal with certain areas in me, and it is not gonna be revealed until I get in a relationship, until we have that certain argument, that trigger. And then we're going to have to address it right then and there. Right. That's normal in any relationship. You're dealing with two individuals, different individuals with different, that went through different things in their life.
Of course.
But when you have to go outside of yourself constantly trying to prove to this person that you're different, and they don't realize that who you are, do you really feel like you're worthy? Right. Because they don't see that you're worthy. Even when I was broken, I would run away from men like that. That's ready, because I'm like, That's when men are intimidated, or a woman will be intimidated by a healed man. Right. True. Because it's like putting a mirror up to yourself. Like, oh yeah, I'm not ready for this, because it'll make you, realize how broken you are. And if you really want that person, if you really want to be healed, you're going to try to do the work with yourself, because that person is going to, you're going to want to do it for that person. Like, this person is good to me. Right. So this person is for me. I'm going to do the work on myself.
But I think that's where it kind of gets misconstrued, is if I'm pursuing a woman and she is a person who's dealt with a lot of different experiences, and I think in the beginning when you first start courting somebody, you are somewhat vetting yourself, and you are somewhat proving yourself in a way, like how much I could be a man that knows my worth and stuff like that, right? And if I'm pursuing a woman, everyone's gonna come with some type of baggage. Yeah, everyone's gonna come with some type of hurt somehow, some way. Now I do believe, and I know that anyone who is trying to pursue a relationship, they should definitely put in the work to heal from whatever they went through. But I say that because to go back to a man having to pick up the broken pieces that had nothing to do with him, I say that in a way that he was always being himself. He was always proving himself just to be himself. But sometimes the sidetrack, the distractions, the triggers of what she went through may make him say, "Dang, like I need to like maybe switch things up. I need to like deal with this." And sometimes it's not the woman's. I don't want to say it's not her fault, but she may do it. I don't think she does it intentionally.
Okay.
I think it's triggers. And I think it takes a man that truly loves that woman to want to continue to pursue her.
So that goes back to what you said, holding a woman accountable.
Exactly.
But no, you just said something. They don't do it intentionally.
Okay. They don't do it intentionally.
Yeah.
I say that. I agree with that. I agree with that. I think you do have moments where.
But men hurt women. Can we say that some men hurt women intentionally?
Of course. I think some men and some women has the agenda to hurt somebody intentionally.
Yeah.
I mean, hurt people at the end of the day.
Facts.
So, I think that's what that is. However, it's just like to get back to the point where, like, I want this to work. To get to the point where, like, I'm gonna continue being me to show, because the man can continuously be himself, and because of what she went through, it doesn't allow her to see anything different, and she gets sidetracked with what she went through, to where it blinds her from what's in front of her. So this is why I say, like, sometimes a man is left with broken pieces that had nothing to do with him, and of course, he has the option to stay and say, "You're not healed, I'm going to just leave." And I think it just goes back to what you were saying and figuring out this whole purpose versus assignment kind of thing. And I'm still trying to figure that part out. But I do believe that the person that we're purposely made to be with, to some extent, that we are also assigned to them to some extent as well.
Then it shouldn't feel like a burden.
Okay. It shouldn't feel like a burden.
It shouldn't feel like that. You should be graced to do it. Just like some people are graced to deal with certain people that deal with certain things, you should be graced to do it. So it should just feel like when you walk in your purpose, no matter how hard it is, you're going to pursue it. You're going to keep going for it because you know that's your purpose. And in the end, it's just going to be what it is. It's going to manifest into what it's supposed to be. But if you have to try so hard, like, you got to pray about it. God is going to show you that's one prayer. God answers very quickly. Because every person that's why every little date I go on, after the third set, I used to do it after the first day. I said, God moved too quick. So I do it after like the second date. And it's done. God will remove those people from your life so fast. So God will tell you, let you know if that person is for you. I don't think it should feel ill. It should be hard. Or maybe you need to ask yourself, is this something you are willing to deal with? Well, the guys that are dealing with that. Because I feel like, yeah, you're right. You're going to have to help that person. Iron sharpens iron. So, right. Yeah. But if you're the only... and that's another thing. I don't want to be the only one pouring. If I'm pouring who's going to feel me? If this is a relationship or partnership, right. I'm doing all the pouring, fixing you. How about me?
I hear that.
Yeah.
But you make it sound easy, though. Like,
it's not.
Because I'm going to tell you this, man, and I'm going to keep it a buck when I say this, is I don't think, and this is me speaking up for the men, and I say this because sometimes, just sometimes, a woman's insecurities, in which he did not create, runs him away.
Elaborate. Name the insecurities.
Insecurity could be lack of trust. She probably went through a lot of infidelity issues for whatever reason. And let's say this man has never given her a reason to not trust him. So it could be, I mean, you got different types of security. It could be lack of confidence. It could be lack of trust. It could be so many different things. So
that's no excuse.
That's no excuse to what?
Like not trust someone just because you've been through some. Listen, that was that person.
Right.
I've been through infidelity. I like to trust people because you know why? It gives me a sort of peace. Do you know what it feels like to be in a relationship and you don't trust the person and they haven't given you any reason not to trust them? It's just you being an overthinker and self-sabotaging. It's just too much. I like peace. I like happiness. So I like that. I'm gonna watch you. It's a certain way to deal with that. If you can be on. I don't even want to use the word on guard. I hate that. But give that person a chance to prove you wrong. Be smart about the red flags that you kind of overlooked in the last situation. And then you use that to your advantage into the next situation. You learn from the lesson. Right. So you peep game. That's basically what it is. Like, I peep game now, like, oh, you think I'm done. I already, child, I've been here before. You can't run no game on me. My ex taught me the game. What's good? Gosh. So that's basically what it is. So I just feel like if I gotta do too much like that, my boy Zane, for my non-Haitians, that means I don't want it. I don't want it. Right. If I gotta do, like, I would never want to be with a. Oh my God, I had one experience like that, like being with a man that has dealt with women cheating on him. Oh my God, and I'm like, I'm not like that. Like, oh, why you didn't pick up? I was busy. I don't even like that feeling of you questioning me. I just want it to flow. Like, until I give you a reason to think that, I'm not that kind of person. I would not lie to people.
But that's what I'm talking about, though. How do a person, whether a man or woman, get out of that mind frame?
You got to heal. To know that, yeah, you got to heal. And you got to want to do it. That's the thing. You got to want to. Because I could easily be like, I don't trust nobody. But if you keep telling yourself that men ain't ish and you're not going to trust men, that's going to be your reality. Every relationship you're in, you're going to attract those kind of men that will play you.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Because you sound like a woman of experience, of course. For people that goes through what they've been through.
Break it down. What they've been through. People go through a lot.
Okay, you're a woman, so we can speak to the woman here. For a woman that's been through a lot of heartache, a lot of downs in the dating world today, my question is, what keeps you going? Because I think I've experienced and I've seen a lot of, like, and it's almost sad, to be quite honest, to see it, and it's kind of hurtful because you see a lot of women who has decided to say like they're just done with dating. They're just done. It's almost like their life is over because of their experiences.
Oh, wow.
And I can understand, like, certain people go through deeper stuff and, they have their own way of healing.
Yeah.
But for the people out there that's trying to, like, figure out this dating thing, or who's probably at the brink of just saying, forget this, I'm done with it. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you say keeps you going? Like, even though you fail dating after dating, or whatever the case may be. Like, what keeps you saying, I'm going to continue to date until God sends me that person?
My relationship with God. My relationship with God. Yeah, right. For sure. I'm telling you, like, even when you feel like, okay, it's not working out, go pray about it. Maybe God wants to reveal something in you. Because why do you I feel like dating should be it shouldn't be a bad experience. Mm-hmm. You're getting to know people. I just feel like now I look at dating very differently. I look at dating as a wonderful experience because I'm doing the choosing. I don't just let anybody come into my life and try to date me because they like me. No, you have to have this certain qualifications. It's like a job application. Not everybody gets the job. Nope, not everybody gets the chance to date me. So I date people that I'm going to have a great experience with because they have the attributes of a potential husband. Or somewhat. Like, they have great attributes, okay? But attributes and characteristics. Not just, yeah.
But y'all go through that a lot. Y'all, I'm saying it because this is coming from the ladies. Y'all experience a lot of the potentials.
Yeah, but I don't go around. I don't just date. I'm not going on I don't like that. I don't even like people to know me. So that's another thing I had to do. Like, I have to put myself out there, right? But I still don't like putting myself out there where I'm dating multiple people, or I don't like men to know me. Like, I'm not even talking about sex wise, but even know how my voice sound on the phone. I feel like let me just, I want to be exclusive. Like, I like when men can say, I wish I knew more about her.
Right.
That's just me. I just, because men, they real funny.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no,
that.
I have weird stuff happen to me. Like, a man will probably just, I naively gave somebody my number and then they'll turn it into this big old thing like we're dating, and it just was like a hello. So it's just like, no, I'm not gonna give nobody a chance to falsely claim me.
Okay.
Okay.
That's definitely your experience.
Yeah.
I guess my other question would be, because you're a woman, and I would like to know this, is why do you believe the lack of accountability is more centered towards women than it does men?
You said that. I don't. I think women are held accountable.
You think women are held accountable?
I hope I can't speak for everybody, but I hope myself.
You don't sound
But the
confident.
women that are on my page, well, I don't know. You're right, because some of them be like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." So I don't know. I don't know, because I hold myself accountable. Why? Wait, repeat the question.
Why do you believe that the lack of accountability is more so centered around women than it is men?
Because women vocalize their pain more, so it looks one sided. It looks like the men are doing all the trifling stuff and all the hurt.
Okay.
So that makes the masses try to hold the men accountable because they're basing it off of what's the storyline or what's in the media, or yeah, like what's in the media.
I say that because it's hard to kind of like, I personally don't think it makes men look accountable at all, to be quite honest. I think it's simply just the men did wrong and that's just what it is. I don't really hear any like ownership when it comes to a woman, and again it goes back to her choosing the person that she decides to court or be with. And I say this because if you want to get statistical, right? I'm not finna get Kevin Samuels, but statistics does matter, right? And it kind of hurts. It really does hurt when you hear that 85% to 87% of women are the one that's filing for divorce. So I guess my question in all of that is like, where at some point do we see some type of accountability to some extent? I mean, 85% is a very big percentage. Like, is all 85% just, we just gonna blame men and just that's just what it's gonna be? Or, and that's just one take.
But women are not filing for divorce for no reason. It takes
Of course.
So if a woman is
Of course
filing
they're
for
not.
divorce, that means it's something to do with the man, or she's not happy. And I don't never get that part. You not happy. Y'all don't walk down the aisle, do all this grimace. Look at me. It's because he a Haitian girl. But y'all did walk down the aisle, did all of this. I don't get the not happy part. I don't think I will ever get that. Because if you think you're going to go out at your big age and start to date first of all, in this economy, secondly, in this generation, and you think your house ain't better than what's outside, you in for a rude awakening. You better go sit with God and figure it out. Go to counseling or something, because it ain't pretty outside
At all.
You might have a little fun. You're going to be broke. Don't worry. Especially if you're a man and you're trying to date in this economy.
Oh my goodness.
The girls, they want their funds, okay?
I don't blame them. But to get back to that point though, like what is the root of lack of accountability for women? Like, where does it stem from? Like, I can honestly say, so it's easy for a man, because obviously clearly we get blamed for a lot of this stuff, right? Not to say that, there aren't any men that probably don't hurt women. I think there are some definitely good men out there. The same way there's bad men, same way there's bad women, there's a good side to every person, no matter what sex you are. Right? So we can't just put everybody in just one box.
It starts with the man, though.
It starts with the man in what area? What do you mean?
Because you said the question was, where does this lack of accountability come from?
Right. Where's it rooted from?
The root is from the man, because the man is the head.
Okay.
So if the man is not functioning in the head in his rightful place, the whole body is just going to be loose. So it starts from the head. It starts from the father. So we can go back generations.
Right.
So once the man was taken out of the home, that's when all this like marriages, like the statistics with marriages got lower. Like people weren't married. More baby mama, baby daddy kind of thing was going on. Is when the men lost their position in the household.
But I wouldn't say that that's the case for everybody. I think we could also say that lack of accountability comes from a woman's childhood and what she's been through and what she probably didn't get from her mother or her father for whatever reason.
But it still stems from the mother and the father in the home. It
So
still since it still stems from the household, the family unit. And who's in charge of the family union? Who's the head of that?
the man.
Okay. So until and that's why women are not held accountable, because we have to go to the root of it. And the root of it is men. So until men get in order, and it's not saying all men, but the ones that are out of order, because we don't have enough men that are in order. Because they have lost their identity. They need to come back to Christ. Let God do the work on them. So once the men are in their rightful places, the woman will get in line.
So again, it falls on the man. So you mean to tell me, I want to hear this correctly.
Y'all want to be the head.
You mean it ain't that we just want
God tell y'all the head, so it come from y'all.
So it comes from us. So,
Yes.
So you're saying that lack of accountability in women is because of men.
The lack of the reason why there's a lack of accountability is because they're placing the blame on men. The reason why they're placing the blame on men because men they're the head. Okay, I don't want to make it seem like I'm blaming men, but that's because I can't speak for every woman.
Y'all heard it here first.
No,
y'all heard it here first.
No, because I love y'all. I do. I'm nothing
root
without
of
you.
The lack of accountability in women. What was just stated is that it is rooted in men. So what she just said, y'all. So I want her to elaborate on that.
I did.
Okay.
I gave you biblical reference.
You gave me biblical reference. So you're saying that at any point you are not to hold yourself accountable because we blame men.
I hold myself accountable. I can't speak for every woman. You asked me to speak for all the women.
No, I'm asking a simple personal question. I'm asking a question. So the question was, right, to go back to it, originally it was, the original question was, why do you think why do you think a lack of accountability is more centered around women than it is men? And then we dove into where is it rooted from? And you mentioned that it's rooted from men. So if it's rooted from men, that means that the man has to be the one to fix that. So does that mean that a woman shouldn't take accountability until he fixes that?
No, I think it's up to the individual. I feel like every individual should take accountability for their own mess. Okay. Yeah.
But it's still rooted in what?
In their own thing.
And that's how you switching it up.
But no, if we're gonna get deep, that is what it is. That is deep.
It is deep. And
that's when that modern day woman thing came about.
Okay, what about it?
Like, I can divulge in a lot of things, especially when it comes to the black community. I don't have the time. Because then we're going to talk about mass incarceration, when they purposely incarcerated black and brown men, and it took the men out of the household. Okay. So it causes so much dysfunction. So that's generational cycles that's happening.
Let's take that out, for example.
So I don't know what do you expect women to be held accountable for? Their choice in men, right?
Their choice in men. That's all I'm saying. Their choice.
You don't think women do?
I think that's where the lack of accountability is.
I think it's the woman that people come across, or the woman. I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but maybe the woman you come across.
I would say, listen, I'm good over here. But
no, because you just said.
Okay.
I feel like, yes, when you get a certain level, there's no one. I don't know. In my friend group, everybody's holding themselves.
See, you say so. You must see. I respect your friend group, all right? Because clearly your friend group knows how to choose men, I suppose.
Yeah, or they learn from their mistakes.
Or they learn from their mistakes. So I guess my thing is, this is all I'm saying. All I'm saying is there's a lack of accountability when it comes to today's dating from women. And I say that because every last experience on why she isn't dating, on why something didn't work out, on why things are going bad, on why she's just gonna be single and she has this hot girl kind of mindset or whatever the case may be, is centered around men. All I'm saying is, what does it take for a woman to get to a place, and you mentioned healing earlier, right? To get to a place to say, you know what, I didn't have to go through this if I didn't decide that. I didn't have to go through this if I didn't choose this person. So I'm saying accountability in a stance of like, we pursue as men. You make the decision whether you want to mess with us or not.
You don't know your worth.
You're saying that from a woman or from a man?
Woman.
From a woman. So she doesn't know her worth.
No.
Okay.
Because if you keep attracting the same kind of men and the same man you keep complaining about, it's just like when you see, you want marriage, but you're not dating someone that wants marriage, but you still stay there. The person already told you what they want. They made it clear. And we just have to be real with ourselves. I feel like a lot of women, they like to be delusional. When you want something, you make yourself believe that this is right. Yeah, because man, I've been delusional at one point in my life. Like, clearly it wasn't matching up with what he was saying and what he was doing. But I was still there because I wanted it. I wanted him. And no matter how dumb I kind of looked, I just believed that we were going to live happily ever after. And then I woke up. I just had to realize, like, no, like, snap out of it.
All right.
This is not what it is. Like, let's be real.
So
you're not a hostage. Like,
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
You're not a hostage.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You're not in jail. This person is not keeping you. And 9 out of 10, you leave, that person not even going to chase you. If they real toxic, he think like that's the whole thing. Maybe he might chase you a little bit, but after, right. I'm telling you, after a little bit, he been telling you he don't want you. You just been there, and sometimes until you close that door, that person is never gonna leave your life. And some women think, oh, he always come back. Yeah, he come back because you can leave the door open. Yeah. You're a revolving door. I could come when I want, leave when I want. Why wouldn't
you? Y'all take pride in that though.
No, I don't.
A lot of women take pride in the
let me say, when I was younger, maybe when I was younger.
A lot of women take pride in the fact that the man gonna come back.
Because until you realize what I just said, right. The only reason he comes back, because women think like, oh, if he come back, it's because he loved me, because he missed me. When he with her, obviously he come back to me, so it makes me feel more valuable or some sort, like I got one up. Listen, right. How to make you be like, a dog don't got no home. A stray dog ain't got no home. He gonna go to every door to get some food. Okay? That's what it is. Like, man, listen. That's me holding myself accountable. Like, I have learned my lesson. I can be transparent about where I've been. So when I speak about these things, I'm not speaking from a place where I'm judging, because I'm judging myself. I have looked in the mirror. I have done the work on myself. I have been in toxic relationships and I have overcame it. And I know that I wanted more for myself. And I had to be real with myself. I had to really look myself like, girl. Yeah. And it's not even about looks. Like, no. And I had to realize, like, I didn't really love myself. And I'm thinking, like, like, I never thought I was ugly. That's not loving yourself. Yeah, you didn't think you was ugly, but how I allowed people to treat me revealed how much I didn't love myself. I didn't like myself.
It's ownership.
Yeah. So, and then I had to do the healing. Yeah, because it's just like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that. I just thought I love hard and I just didn't know how to leave.
That's good. That's ownership.
Yeah.
Y'all hear that? Ownership.
The girl's coming after you.
Hey, they can come after me. I'm fine with that.
Y'all heard his, what's your Instagram again?
Hey, J_speaks. I ain't never scared.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll say this too, though. To go back, I think we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, and we talked about it yesterday. My biggest issue with today's entertainment, when you talk about social media and podcasts and different things. I mean, I've had a podcast with a group of fellas. I've kind of done my own, and I'm planning to get back into that. However, I feel like a lot, and I really want you to touch on this, because there's a lot of podcasts. And I'm gonna hold the fellas accountable, right? And I'm specifically talking about the podcasts that men create to uplift women in a sense. They call it uplifting. And the reality to me is they're just letting women know that they shouldn't date this, do that. They're only being relatable because they're basically pulling out of the woman, okay, this is the type of man that she dealt with, and if he ain't this, if he ain't that, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't date him, whatever the case may be. And I respect and I love that. But I think in the same breath in which a man can speak down another man, he can also speak life and give that woman hope.
Yeah.
To say that, yo, although you've experienced these type of men, these men do exist. The other
Right.
side of the man do exist.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of women do get consumed in a lot of the social media stuff that the men of our kind, right? Some men that they put out there. We already got women already bashing guys, bruh. We
They
don't
do?
need men. Yes, we already. You just stated a few. We don't need this. I don't need it for that. All of that. That's been there since the beginning of time. So I'm gonna leave that alone. But to find that there is men, not only are they only sharing your experiences based on what you experienced, they're also profiting on it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of men who profit on it. We ain't gonna talk about one of them, but I'm pretty sure y'all know who I'm talking about. And Mr. Derek Jackson. And,
I don't subscribe to those men though. I never find. I don't. I think I'm a good judge of character. I could tell when you just feeding me BS. Like I like to be held accountable. You can't just like what you said. So I don't want to be just fed the good stuff.
Right, and I don't have any problem with people or men of just a man in general being able to point out certain things that women should look out for in a man that are probably red flags. I'm all for that. But it's like it's almost like also giving like a woman no hope that she's gonna find this type of good guy. Like nobody has a niche. I'm praying to God that I can actually probably be able to create a platform where I'm able to just simply just uplift men, but also like let women know like, yo, like we exist too. The good men do exist. The same way that there's a lot of information, a lot of social media that only bashes men, black men. It doesn't matter who you are. Like we don't do this, we ain't doing this. All this extra gender war stuff. I feel like there's not enough. There's not enough information or people that's actually representing that good men do exist. And you have a lot of fruitful marriages. You have a lot of fruitful relationships, and they have a good man. Why isn't that magnified more than the bad experiences that women go through with men?
Well, that's based on somebody's time. But I just feel like people like negativity. People like things that are relatable. So if a lot of people are dealing with brokenness and unhealthy relationships, that's where they're going to subscribe more to.
Of course.
So, and maybe people who aren't in healthy relationships, they're more out there with their toxicness because it sells more. You get more views off of that. Okay. When we like that, I don't even want to say their names. But those some things I just be like, I don't know. But Sierra came out with this song. I didn't really fully listen to it, but I just heard like a few, like maybe the hook about it. I basically don't need no man. Yeah. I ain't listening to that song, girl. You got a whole man husband. Right. People was asking you about your prayer, girl. Please. I get it. I get what she was trying to say. Like, no, you got to be. But it's another way you could say it. When are you gonna make a song that talks about where you are now? Because you haven't came out with a song that talks about where you are now. True. You have been married for how many years? You done had 3 kids.
She's doing it for entertainment.
Yeah, but give us the healthy part, sis.
And let's see. This is why I like this particular timing right now, is because you just simply gave a way that women should hold themselves accountable. Like, why choose to hear the things that they subscribe to based on what they experience? Yeah. Why not also choose the opposite? Separate from that. Right. And be hopeful in other areas and look at fruitful relationship that is governed by God and all that type of stuff. Like, what about that? So you get to a place where you are only just going to just be mad at yourself and be mad at those type of men because it's so relatable to your experience that you don't go try to find something new.
I just feel like I don't want to say changing your friend group, but if you're surrounded by people who are going through the same things in their relationship, you're going to normalize it. And it's not normal. So you need to be, if you're not around anything healthy, you need to expose yourself to something healthy. Correct. So you have control over your timeline. You have control over the videos you watch. There's so much information out there. There was even a show on OWN called Black Love that I loved because it poured into me. It was so refreshing to see healthy Black couples.
I've seen that too.
It just gave me hope, like, oh my gosh.
Thank you. Recipe.
Right?
Recipe to ownership.
Yes.
And holding yourself accountable.
Yes. So, and it's just like, and everybody had a different story. And I love that. And how they just love on each other. So it's out there. And I don't want women to feel, I feel like some women, my problem is when it comes to dating is that I feel like some people move out of desperation. And I don't like that.
I like that, yeah.
I do not like that because when you move out of desperation, you're going to take the counterfeit. About this in my last podcast, like nothing good comes out of that. You're just going to take anything for relief.
Yeah.
Anything that looks like it could give you relief. It looks like it can give you love. You're going to go subscribe to that. And that's not what it is.
A desperate situation will put you in a desperate heart for something that you're not ready for will give you a bad relationship or put you in a bad situation.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not healthy. But I think you just kind of like really touched upon a lot of different things about just ownership that I hope people picked up on, especially with surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded and creating like boundaries of like choosing exactly what to like watch or what to put yourself into.
Yes.
What to surround yourself with, the environment that you're in order to like actually obtain a healthy like outlook on like what a relationship should look like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I totally agree. I just feel like, you just have to expose yourself to what is uncommon and what is healthier. So, to sum it all up, I feel like both parties need to take accountability. It's not, we're not going to keep playing this game because nothing ever, that's not productive.
It's not.
Keep blaming, who's. Both individuals have to take accountability and grow from their mistakes, learn from it, and become a better person. Don't repeat it. Heal. Go through the process. It's not pretty. You're not going to like it. But it's worth it.
For sure. I can definitely agree. I can't even hate on that. At the end of the day, it takes two to tango. And a man must hold himself accountable and be intentional about who he is and who he's dating. The same way a woman should be able to be intentional about who she is and the choices that she makes.
How about dating advice? One dating advice, dating tip that you can give the ladies?
Ooh, wow. If I could choose one dating tip, is don't overlook what you want versus what you need in a person. I know that's a lot to kind of get into.
Elaborate that.
Sometimes what you want, sometimes what you want doesn't look, sometimes what you need doesn't look like what you want.
Sometimes what you want doesn't look like what you need.
Sometimes
what you need
does not look like what you want.
In a person?
In a person.
Okay.
And I think it goes back to that vital statement you said earlier when you mentioned about God changing your appetite.
Yeah, but God is still going to give you somebody you're attracted to.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah. So what do you mean?
So when you say attracted to, are you only saying physically?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I'm saying
the characteristics are just like a no-go.
The characteristics are a no-go?
Like meaning, like I'm not, certain things I'm not going to bend on when it comes to characteristics. Yeah. More so versus looks. That's something that's bendable. Like,
I think, so what I mean by that is attraction is different. I have to have some type of attraction.
Yeah, we know men.
And you guys do as well. What I'm saying is sometimes the qualities of the man that you may want doesn't, you got me tongue twisting here. Sometimes what you need does not look like what you want. And it just may be that very thing or that very man that you're bypassing because he doesn't look like the very thing that you want. And I'm not just talking about from just an attraction standpoint. It takes for somebody to get to know somebody, right? Physical, let's get it out the window. You could get that out the window, you try it to the person. But how do you know? How do you know that you can or cannot be attracted to somebody you don't get to know?
But I feel like that person has to be open to get to know that person.
The woman, right? And that's what I'm talking about.
But the man has to pursue the person.
Of course. You don't think that there's a lot of men out there
but sometimes
that they've overlooked.
I ain't even gonna lie.
Come on, man.
I ain't even gonna front with you.
Don't do that.
It's about confidence too, because the man don't even have to look the part. That man come in there talking that good stuff and have his good cologne on. Man, any girl be like, I ain't gonna lie, he ain't that ugly now. His eye ain't that cockeyed. I think I could do with that. Yeah.
But that's exactly what I mean. I feel like a lot of women overlook like the man that they need versus because he doesn't look like what she wants.
But is that man confident enough?
That man could be.
I hope so. Well, God, we already talked about this, and I'm not gonna repeat our conversation. Mm-hmm. But Lord, you know my heart. Mm-hmm. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Okay. But I totally get what you. But that goes for men. So listen, this is my thing. Hey, I do. So it's always that when it comes to women. Oh, y'all be overlooking the guys because he not 6'3", he's not 6'4".
But you making it about looks right now.
No. But men won't even look at a girl that girl has everything, the personality, everything, but she don't look the part, and maybe her weight is a little off. Things that are probably kind of fixable, and men ain't even gonna look at her.
Guy he sees you at the mall, come talk to you, right? Let's say you're physically attracted to him, but let's just say you let him. You decide It takes a what?
Go ahead.
You just decide to not entertain him or probably not allow him to get to know you in any kind of way. Mm-hmm. So my question is how do you, outside of physical, how do you know that you are not attracted to this man if you don't give him the opportunity for him to get to know you? You won't know.
Yeah, I won't, because if I didn't give him my number.
Right.
But what made me? Maybe I didn't like his approach.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't like how he came at me. And he probably was fine. And I was like, not in the mood. It became
moods. Okay.
Yeah. I ain't in the mood to play.
I give you that.
And I'm more of a, if we vibe, I'm gonna know that.
Right.
I'm more of a character person, because you see my personality.
Okay.
And I have to be with somebody that's confident, because the kind of person I am, I'm on social media, and I don't know why people think a lot of people be in my DMs. No, that's not the case, but it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's perceived that way.
Okay.
And that's not so. If I get with someone that's unsure of themselves or has a little bit of insecurity or hasn't been with somebody that like me, I guess, they will put me in a place, and I'm a person I like to, I don't want to say accommodate, but make my person feel good. I don't want to say good, but I'm willing to compromise, to make the relationship work. And if sometimes it could become unhealthy because I would dumb myself down.
True. So
that person won't feel no type of way.
Right.
And it kind of stunts my growth. So that's something I'm very careful with. So I don't date everybody. They can look the part, they can have this and have that, but once I notice that certain character, and once I notice that you're not kind of invested in what I have going on, you're not asking me questions, I don't know. Because I've been in a situation, I remember, y'all know I like to share my personal stories. I remember I started my first business. I was 19 years old, and I was dating this guy. He was like my first love. And, you know, we grew up together because you all I know. And I just remember I'm growing and he's not. Like, he doesn't know what he wants to do. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm pursuing entrepreneurship. That's never been heard of. And this is in the 2009s or 2010s. There was no LLC talk. No. I had to really look that up. I had to go sit with my professor during his break for him to tell me how to get an EIN number. That's who you know. And I just remember my first photo shoot. Mind you, I'm a teenager. I'm paying for all this stuff out of my little check.
Yeah.
And I remember I went there. I had my makeup done. Never wore makeup. And I remember going to his house. And I was like, hey, I'm so happy. He literally, I just remember this verbatim. Like it was yesterday. He turned over, looked at me. I was like, oh, you like my makeup? I'm going to the photo shoot. I'm so happy. And he's like, he just looked at me and turned around.
Oh, gosh.
The fact that I loved him, I just like left. I didn't even let that affect me. Like, okay, whatever. And I just shook it off. But that never left me. That the person I was with never congratulated me. And you know what? So everything plants a seed. And that's why people have to heal. Because what seed it planted in me that I didn't learn how to celebrate myself.
Wow, that's good.
So I didn't feel comfortable celebrating myself. Like when certain things would happen in my life, I would just be like, my friends would celebrate me. I was like, oh no, yeah, I'll be so appreciative, but I would never celebrate myself. I would never clap for myself because I was so used to dumbing myself down, not hyping myself up because the person I was in love with didn't do it for me. Wow. So I had to normalize it. I had to make it seem like it was nothing wrong with it. So I can be with that person. Because if I realize that this is something wrong, then I have to leave that person. And I didn't want to leave. So that goes back to woman knowing yourself, because you're dumbing yourself down. Because you want it so bad that you decrease yourself in order to keep this thing that's not even worthy of you. You have outgrown this person. And it's not to say that the person is a bad person. I always say that. Give these people grace. People go through their own thing. But knowing when to leave will bless your life.
Yeah. You compromise the wrong thing, which is yourself. That's good.
Yeah.
You got a preacher here, yo.
Lord!
Hey, she got a calling on her life. She don't even know it yet.
Jesus! I'm not going to say anything because God is working.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not. I used to say stuff, and I told God I would not do that no more. So we just going to... I surrender.
As you should.
Okay, yeah. So I had to do that. And I just never wanted to be that girl. Like, I've been in situations that have broke me down. But, of course, I took accountability. Like, I could have left. I could have did this. But then I could say, like, why didn't you love me? Yeah. Or why didn't you... I used to always say... I remember I said, oh, my God, beg this person to leave me. I'm like, just leave me alone. I bet he was looking at me like I was stupid. Because I was not in chains. I was not in prison. I could go as I pleased. We did not live together. We didn't have no kids together. Like, I could really go. But I was begging him to leave me because I didn't have the strength to leave him. So I wanted him to close the door because I didn't have the strength to. Wow. Because I loved him more than I loved myself. And I wanted it so bad. I wanted it to work so bad that I muted the voice of God in that situation. I didn't want to hear what God had to say because I knew it wasn't for me because my spirit was at war with my flesh. My spirit kept telling me to go. My spirit was draining. So I felt so uncomfortable, but I ignored the signs. I kept going after it because that's what my flesh wanted. And I was convinced that this is as good as it's going to get. Because you know why? He had something that I really wish my father had. And none of my exes had what he had. Wow. The way he looked out for me, the way he covered, like, even on good or bad terms, the way he used to look out for me, care for me, like I never had that. Like he would go above and beyond. And I just never had somebody to look out for me like that.
You were attached to that.
And the fact that when you grow up in a household, a Haitian household, and you had to figure things out by yourself, so you become so hyper independent, and you have that person to look out for you, because when you're hyper independent, you're not going to ask people for help. And the fact that he gave me help just because. Or if I mention something, he's like, I'll take care of it. Never had that.
He introduced something. He
Yeah.
introduced you to something you wasn't never used to.
Mm-hmm.
So you got attached to that.
Yeah. And that's the only thing that kept. That's why you have to heal.
Yeah.
That's why you have to heal that little girl in you, that little boy in you. You have to heal it because it would affect every relationship that you have as an adult.
Yes, it will.
And you have to be real with yourself. Yeah. Like, this is me being vulnerable, and it's just like, and I had to forgive my father because he did the best he could.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're gonna want healing for that person, but hey, that's up to that's their journey. Yeah. So you have to love them for where they are, even if he doesn't change. I'm not looking for that anymore. Right. Because I know he can't give that to me, so I don't want to disappoint myself. We have to stop disappointing ourselves. Yeah. Once somebody shows you who they really are, accept it and move forward and love them in spite of. That's biblical.
Yeah.
That's biblical.
You have to. Forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Forgiveness comes a long way. I think I'll say this because to share my own experience is something that's definite. I'm a vulnerable guy. I'm expressive. Listen, one thing about me, I'm expressive. I'm not your normal guy who's gonna sit here and internalize everything.
Right.
And hold it in and just try to be manly about it. No, I believe in expressing, letting my emotions flow, holding something in, then releasing it.
Hello.
So I think for me, you talk about just childhood and what you didn't receive is for a long time, I've met my father twice my whole life. Right? I've met my father once when I was probably, I want to say 10, and I recently met him in 2021. And that was my act of forgiveness for a long time. And it wasn't until my pastor at the time, he helped me realize something. I built an idol around somebody that I didn't even know. And what I did was I said, I would never be like my father. My father who, my mother couldn't be with because he was a drug dealer at the time, a con artist and all those different things, wasn't faithful, whatever the case may be. I said I wouldn't be like him because he didn't take care of me and my brother. I kept like creating this idol of a man, and I kept saying, I'm not going to be like that. And then I remember one day my pastor told me, how are you idolizing something in someone you don't even know? So for a long time I had like a lot of resentment, right? And no cap, like I think for the most part I'm not perfect by no means, but right. I hold myself with a lot of integrity, but being a faithful person, being a person that's honest, being a person that is a father, being just that person that, man, I want to be everything that he ain't. Right. Like at the end of the day, I'm gonna be that good guy. Like, I'm gonna be that type of guy. And the reality is, I created an idol to someone that I didn't even know. And it wasn't until last year that I decided to, 2021, I decided to forgive him. And I took a flight to Bahamas without him even knowing. I felt like I was called to kind of go do that. And there is so much relief in forgiving somebody. There is so much of the burden that you're carrying for no reason. Yeah, it's lifted, and then you begin to realize, like, dang, I've been holding on to somebody just because I didn't receive that as a little boy. I didn't receive the love. I didn't know how to do certain things because of him. There was so much relief, and then what's crazy is he cried when he see me, like tears, like just wow, like cried, like, and I was keeping the G. I was keeping the G. I'm like, I'm in my 30s now, Brain. Now you can really tell me, but I would honestly say that it wasn't until I forgave, it wasn't until I extended grace that I end up finding out like the man that I'm supposed to be, because of the fact that I let go of the man that I thought I knew. And the reality is I didn't know. So right. sometimes we get into that situation where we get attached or we compromise ourselves for something that we're not used to, and we become someone that we're not because we're trying to compare it to someone that we don't know. Right. And the reality is you got to find yourself. You got to love yourself, but you have to sometimes extend grace. You have to sometimes forgive others in order to get to that place where you figure out your identity for you. So yeah, I definitely say that forgiveness gives a relief, gives a clarity. Yeah. That I don't think, I just don't think that anything else can. Like, forgiveness just comes a long way. And sometimes you cannot move forward unless that is done. Yes. You cannot move forward unless you face that thing that's been holding you back. It don't matter what type of front you try to pull. It don't matter like this macho person you trying to be, this pretty person you trying to be, trying to fabricate who you are because you don't know who you are. And the reality is you've sometimes left your identity in someone else. And it's not until you release that person, it's not until you forgive and you just let go that you begin to realize who you're supposed to be, who you're made to be.
Right.
So yeah, man. But yeah.
How was that conversation like though?
That conversation was very emotional, I would say. Very emotional, but it taught me a lot about myself. The conversation was man to man. I mean, one of the first things he says was he didn't ever think that he'd ever see me again. He didn't know how to face me. He didn't know what to say. And we just basically just had a conversation about what transpired growing up. And for me, I wasn't going to sit here and, I don't need you to make up what I've already lost. I'm a grown man now, and I've learned what I needed to learn. But I think hearing his side of the story, hearing like what he had to struggle with as a man, I realized like, damn, like I blamed him as if he was the man, and the reality is he's not the man. He's just a man.
Yeah, right? That's a word right there.
So, and I just had to get to that place where I'm like, yo, I forgive you.
Right.
Like, I love you and I forgive you. And it took me having to get to know him, his struggles. And a part of the reason why that I'm even here in the United States was because of him and the sacrifices that he made. And I think what even shook it a little bit more was the fact that my mother, she's done a great job.
Right.
And not for once she's ever downplayed or talked or said anything negative about my father.
That's good.
If anything, she always let me know how I resemble him and what I do and how I act in my demeanor. But I wasn't trying to hear that because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right. So because that little boy was looking for a man to look up to at the time.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to hear that. So that conversation was emotional. That conversation was a relief. That conversation was man to man. And that conversation just helped me realize how much time I wasted putting up a statue of somebody that I said I'm not going to be like and I didn't even know.
Talk about it.
So yeah, it was definitely a healing moment, and I definitely look at certain things differently. Sometimes we hold on to our parents, we hold on to our exes, we hold on to, friends and family and certain things that we went through, our traumatic experience. And I'm going to always say this, man, like the reality of like going through a traumatic experience, whether that be with your parents or maybe a bad situation sexually or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And I'm always questioning God about this is the reality of it is the traumatic experience that you face sometimes isn't your fault. The majority of the time it's probably not your fault. And I'm always trying to like ask God like how does this make sense? How does getting raped make sense? And like I didn't choose to put myself in that position, right? For some woman who probably witnessed that or probably faced that. How does me not having a father in my life like allow me to like see things differently and I feel empty inside? How does being abused or whatever the case may be, right? Anything.
Right.
How are those things not my fault, but healing from is my responsibility?
Yes.
And I think that's probably like the biggest thing that's actually the hardest thing to kind of go through and accept the fact that I ain't choose to be here. I didn't choose to put myself in that position. It just happened that way. But I have to decide to heal. I have to decide to take accountability to say, this is no longer a stronghold over me.
Yes.
In order to move forward. So, yeah.
That's good. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode because I got a lot of nuggets from you. Like
I got a lot of nuggets from you, too. Y'all heard them recipes that she got for y'all about ownership and accountability? Y'all heard it?
For both parties.
I'm talking to the ladies.
But I always talk to the ladies. Okay? But for the ladies. This is for y'all too. And I haven't spoken about relationships yet. Mm-hmm. So this is the first episode that I'm talking about really like in depth in this way. So it's good to have a man's perspective because I do feel like people need to see this healthy dialogue.
Yeah, for sure.
And knowing that we both need to hold ourselves accountable, and especially women, like we have the right to say yes or no.
Yes.
So stop allowing mess into your life. Like you can change your whole dating perspective by a simple no and not accepting less.
Exactly.
Right. So that's basically what his whole stance was with the modern day woman, and accountability.
And I say that to agree with her point. I say that because your no is what may kickstart his healing process.
Checkmate. Well, thank you for tuning in to Comfortably Me. You see why I named it Comfortably Me,
I
right?
see
It's very comfortable. You get really comfortable, very vulnerable. This is where it's real at, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It's your girl, Vanessa Elaine, and thank you, JC, for joining me on this episode. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you are listening to on Apple Podcasts, do not forget to leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us what was your favorite part. What did you take from this episode? And don't forget to sign up for Patreon. Well, you get exclusive. You get to listen to the episodes before it drops on any other platform. You get live Q&As and you get access to me. Okay. So bye, y'all. Good night. Comfortably me.